What is going on, Dolphins fans? It's your boy Dillon, and I realized I haven't said the name of my show very often. So welcome to Dolphins with Dillon. This is another one, another episode, another day, and of course I'm making a video. Why? Because I have some news, notes, quotes, and all kinds of things for you. Something like that. Anyway, so getting right to it. This first one is an article from Pro Football Talk. It's about our good friend Ndamukong Suh. And because apparently, it's called Sue, No Hard Feelings Toward Dolphins. So, because apparently he threw a little shade on us. He commented, I don't even remember what it was, but it was some play against the Panthers. I want to say it was the Christian McCaffrey run. Somebody posted on Twitter. He made a comment, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, here we go. And it was Instagram. A recent Instagram video of Panthers running back Christian McCaffrey gashing the Dolphins for a 71-yard touchdown run got noticed by Rams defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh. Suh, who was released by the Dolphins this offseason, commented, "Right up the gut, LOL," about his former team's failure to make a stop on the play. On Wednesday, Suh said the comment was not a sign of negative thoughts about the Dolphins. Suh said he has no hard feelings toward the team and that he's spoken to Dolphins owner Stephen Ross recently, before adding that one didn't need to feel particularly negative toward the Dolphins to see their run defense was lacking. "I got an opportunity to comment like any other person on Instagram," Suh said via ESPN.com. "Really made an observation any blind man could see." Well, I get his point, but anywho. The Dolphins just brought Kendall Langford into the defensive line group, so they are still working to figure out the right combination of players to take over for Suh and avoid further social media punchlines this season. "I'm feeling more and more optimistic as time goes on. Obviously, there was a lot to be desired in our last preseason game, but I have confidence that it will all get sorted out." Alright, next article. Minkah and Gesicki set up to be Dolphins core pieces. And this is from ESPN.com, which I absolutely think is true. They are going to obviously be pieces that we, build around for the next few years. Okay, a breakdown of the Miami Dolphins 2018 draft class and its progress after 3 weeks of training camp. Minkah Fitzpatrick, defensive back, first round. Fitzpatrick immediately made his presence known as a versatile chess piece who can play slot, cornerback, safety, and as a specialty player in nickel and dime defenses. The Dolphins love Fitzpatrick's ability to absorb the defense, play fast, cover tight ends, and make plays on the ball. He shined in Miami's first preseason game against the Bucs. He's expected to play a lot in year one and be a core piece for a long time in Miami. Mike Gesicki, tight end, second round. Adam Gase's offense needs a receiving matchup nightmare tight end who can produce the way Julius Thomas did with Peyton Manning in 2013-2014. Gesicki has shown glimpses of being that guy, but he needs more consistency and hasn't had a preseason catch yet. He likely won't ever be a plus blocker, but he can be a top target for Ryan Tannehill in the red zone and on third down as a rookie. Jerome Baker, linebacker, third round. No rookie has flashed in the preseason as much as Baker, who has worked his way up to being the starter. Baker's coverage ability got him drafted, and the Dolphins will need him big time this season as they've struggled to get production from their linebackers. Yeah, I think all three of our first, second, and third round guys, all three of those guys are going to be starters this year. Durham Smythe, tight end, fourth round. Smythe has held up well as a blocking tight end and appears to have a secure roster spot even if his role is currently undefined. He also flashed his hands with 2 catches for 27 yards last week against the Panthers. Kalen Ballage, running back, fourth round. Ballage was having a strong training camp, earning a few reps with the first-team offense and gained 60 yards and 13 touches in the first preseason game. The next week, Ballage had a rough couple of days at practice, including getting kicked out of the huddle by Tannehill and suffering a concussion. His roster spot is secure. Cornell Armstrong, cornerback, 6th round. Armstrong has had a quiet spring as the Dolphins try to figure out their cornerback rotation. This is a unit where the Dolphins have more depth than starting caliber talent, which could leave Armstrong on the roster bubble. The practice squad could be his landing spot. Quentin Poling, linebacker, 7th round. Poling's biggest role this summer has been on special teams, and he hasn't looked to be a significant player on defense. His chances to make the team increased after Mike Cole's knee injury, but he could be looking at a practice squad spot if he doesn't finish strong this preseason. And finally, Jason Sanders, kicker, 7th round. After an inconsistent spring, Sanders has been impressive since the preseason began. He wasn't really that inconsistent. He didn't miss that much. He's 4 of 5 on field goals over 2 games and has shown off a strong leg in practice, including making 2 61-yarders. He's locked in a tight battle with undrafted free agent Greg Joseph. I'm pretty sure it's going to end up being Jason Sanders. Quentin Poling and Cornell Armstrong could absolutely be roster bubble guys or practice squad guys. Kalen Ballage and Durham Smythe, Jerome Baker, like all those guys, like I said, are going to be on the team. The first 3 of them are going to be starters. It's coming together, guys. Little at a time. All right, let's see. Here's another article. This one is from SB Nation. NFL Breakout Players 2018. Kenyon Drake is ready to carry the load for the Dolphins. When the Dolphins decided to ship Jay Ajayi out of Miami last season, trading him to the eventual Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, they created an opportunity for someone else to step up and be the lead dog in their backfield. Second-year back Kenyon Drake answered the call. Going back and rewatching his film from last year, I came away very impressed with Drake's physicality as a runner. He's not a particularly big guy at 6'1", 211 pounds, and my first thought about him was always more about his breakaway speed. But what I saw on an every down basis was a guy who lowered his pads and wasn't afraid of contact. A lot of those 644 yards he gained on the ground came on plays where he stuck his foot in the ground and ran full steam ahead right between the tackles. My concern is this stupid helmet rule, and I know I'm not the only one. I've been seeing the national media and stuff give it a lot of heat because it's crap, man. But I'm worried about that rule this year, so we'll just have to wait and see how it all, plays out and everything. But I don't know. We'll see. I love the way he kept his legs churning as guys tried to wrap him up so he could get that extra yard or 2 before he finally hit the ground. Drake's balance was superb and it allowed him to bounce off some of those big hits and run out of some of those tackle attempts. Don't get me wrong, Drake was pretty adept at avoiding would-be tacklers too. He didn't make a lot of the big, pretty jump cuts you see every week on SportsCenter, but he would change directions on a dime, cut just enough to make a guy miss. You combine all that with his aforementioned breakaway speed and you got yourself a pretty good running back. He was an asset in the passing game. Drake looked natural running routes and catching the ball out of the backfield, hauling in 32 balls for 239 yards and a touchdown. It turns out that Ajayi getting traded afforded Drake a chance to show everyone just what they had been missing, and he did not disappoint. With the skills he displayed last season, there is no doubt Drake can carry the load this year. If the Dolphins choose to keep him on passing downs, he can certainly be a viable 3-down back. Even if he comes out on 3rd down, Drake's production should get a huge boost this season. I know Miami signed Frank Gore, but at this point in both of their careers, I have a hard time seeing Gore beating out Drake. If he can stay healthy, Drake can nail down the starting running back position for this season and for years to come. I personally think he will. Confidence level, high. I completely agree with that. Drake's going to be nasty. I think this year, I've said it before, it's going to be Drake and Gore with, Ballage getting mixed in more and more as the year goes on. Eventually it'll end up probably being Drake and Ballage, once Gore retires and stuff. So real quick, just run through some things. Joe Shad, Miami Dolphins running back Kalen Ballage is still in concussion protocol. He also says, tight end Mike Gesicki continues working hard on blocking drills. Let's see, from Chris Perkins, not practicing today. Defensive back Trey Elston, linebacker Mike Hull with a knee, William Hayes with a hamstring, Kalen Ballage with a concussion, Devontae Parker with a broken finger, Jake Brendel with a calf, Marquise Gray, concussion, still in protocol but practicing. So he may or may not play for the game, depending on whether or not he clears. Armando Salguero, so both Isaac Bruce and Mike Martz visiting Dolphins today. Wonder where Kurt Warner and Torrey Holt are. Omar Kelly, Marquise Gray, the Dolphins starting tight end, is practicing for the second straight day, but still in concussion protocol. He also says Kalen Ballage is still there. Armando Salguero, Frank Gore doesn't need tips to be good, but he's always picking the time experts' brains. Joe Shad, Ryan Tannehill hit Albert Wilson on a long pass. Omar Kelly, Kiko Alonso with an interception on Brock Osweiler during 7-on-7s. He also says McDonald picks off David Fales during 7-on-7s. He says McDonald made Snorris Perry drop a wheel route. McDonald was coming fast. Armando Salguero says McDonald intercepts Fales, and Kiko intercepts Osweiler. Joe Shad, Ryan Tannehill, Mike Gesicki are working one-on-one on red zone routes with offensive coordinator Dow Loggins. Armando Salguero agrees with that. Omar Kelly, Frank Gore isn't really working today. He's clearly been out on a veterans program, which Adam Gase has used from time to time with his 30-year-olds. Adam Beasley, 3 interceptions for the Dolphins' backup quarterbacks in 7-on-7s. Omar Kelly, correction, Frank Gore just jumped in on 11-on-11 reps. He also says Mike Gesicki with a nice red zone touchdown from Tannehill. Armando Salguero and Ryan Tannehill to Mike Gesicki red zone touchdown. Omar Kelly, Mike Gesicki with another nice red zone touchdown between Tannehill. Omar Kelly, Jakeem Grant drops a touchdown pass in the end zone from Ryan Tannehill. Those hands are becoming inconsistent again. Omar Kelly, the Dolphins defense is clearly excited about Mike Gesicki. That's huge. Armando Salguero, Jakeem Grant drops a red zone touchdown pass. Cameron Wolf, Ryan Tannehill just delivered a nice fade ball in the end zone to Mike Gesicki, who mossed the defender for a get you weighed up type touchdown grab. Won't be the last time you hear that this season. Adam Beasley, Jerome Baker, and run fits are still a work in progress. Let's see, Omar Kelly, Ryan Tannehill just scrambled out of the pocket and turned on the afterburners. He looks fast still. That's good news. Ryan Tannehill just connected on deep pass to Kenny Stills. First one I've seen from Tannehill in weeks. Omar Kelly, defender, pulled down an interception on David Fales. We suspect it was Bobby McCain. Raekwon McMillan rushed throw with a blitz. And he also says Bobby McCain with a breakup of 11-on-11 versus second team. Let's see, I have this Phinsider article. Dolphins have little choice but to play a ball control game. As the 2018 regular season rapidly approaches, a harsh reality becomes more and more apparent. To have any realistic chance of winning games, at least in the early portion of the season, the Miami Dolphins are going to have to control the ball and play a time of possession game. Having the ability to run a hurry-up offense that can strike quickly from anywhere on the field is a nice luxury to have at the end of a half or a game, or if the team falls behind by double digits. But the Dolphins will need to keep their defense and the other team's offense on the sidelines as much as possible during the first month or so of the season to give themselves the best chance of winning. So, what happened to all the optimism, you ask? Have I done a complete 180 and soured on the team once again? Not at all. Miami just needs a few games to get the new guys on defense some reps and get them better acclimated to Matt Burke's scheme. At some point, probably by late October, November, this young defense may very well give opposing quarterbacks fits, but based on what we saw last week against Carolina and are even more likely to see this weekend, they're going to need some time to get up to speed. Until then, veteran quarterback Ryan Tannehill and the offense will need to carry a disproportionate share of the load. Fortunately, Tammy and co. appear to be well equipped to pull this off with aplomb. The past year has no doubt been difficult for the team as well as Ryan himself, but the rewards of sitting out the season and being able to engage in film study will manifest themselves this season. I wouldn't be surprised if Tanny is named AFC Player of the Week at some point during the regular season for Miami. Those of us who followed the Dolphins during Dan Marino's career remember all too well that other teams used to employ this strategy against Miami when they played the Dolphins. Marino and the offense couldn't score if they weren't on the field. We're about to find out once and for all whether or not Adam Gase can coach, and I wouldn't bet against him. During the team's improbable playoff run of 2016, he adjusted on the fly, shifting gears and slowing the clock down to take advantage of Jay Ajayi in the running game. As CT pointed out, the Dolphins had, I believe, the second fewest pass attempts in the league that year. The hard running of Frank Gore and Miami's quick-hitting passing game would seem to be well suited for an efficient bread-and-butter type attack that wears down opposing defenses and will keep the Dolphins' own defenders fresh, ready to come into the game and wreak havoc in the pass rush. If Miami can come out of the gate in September without stumbling too badly, they should be able to put together a good run during the middle portion of their schedule before closing with a tough 5-game stretch to end the year. This promises to be an entertaining season. It's an exciting time to be a Dolphins fan. I agree, man. I know last week was a bit hard to watch and so on and so forth, but I really do believe at the deepest depths of my fiber and being, people, that we will get this going. Okay, here's another Dolphins Wire, or here's an article from Dolphins Wire. Bryce Petty still has a chance at Dolphins backup job. I totally think he needs to jump Brock Osweiler. I don't know that he's going to beat out David Fales, but I think Fales should, no matter what, no matter how it works out, get rid of Brock, have David Fales as the backup, and if Petty is eligible for practice squad, which I believe he is, put him on there. All right, here we go. The Dolphins have only been able to find the end zone 3 times during their first 2 preseason games. 2 of those touchdown drives have been led by Bryce Petty, who is currently the 4th quarterback on the Dolphins depth chart. While some might think head coach Adam Gase would keep either Brock Osweiler or David Phils as their backup, Petty has shown he deserves to be in the competition as well. I think everybody right now in that room, we're just going to keep competing and getting reps, Gase said when asked about Petty. Really, this game is going to be so much about the ones and how is it going to turn out when those guys go out. Jesus Christ. How many plays are going to be available? We've got 3 guys who want to play in the game. We've just got to kind of see how it goes. Although Petty might not play a lot during the 3rd preseason game, his numbers have been better than both Osweiler and Phils. In limited work, Petty has thrown 9 of 13 passes for 111 yards, 1 touchdown against 1 interception. Petty has also run for a 15-yard touchdown against the Panthers. While either Osweiler or Phils are favorites to win the backup job, the 2 have each had their hiccups during training camp and or the preseason. Osweiler threw a ton of interceptions during training camp, while Phils only completed 1 pass against the Panthers last week while also tossing an interception. The battle for the backup quarterback position could come down to whoever plays the best in the Dolphins preseason finale against the Falcons on August 30th. That'll obviously be the game where we get to see them the most and really bring it to the forefront of who is actually winning that battle and so on. So let's see. Real quick, I have a article here from Dolphins.com from Andy Cohen. It says AC in the AM, don't overlook Jakeem Grant. The little guy has some big plans. Jakeem Grant has long viewed himself as more than just a kick returner and always felt with his speed and moves there was a place for him in this offense. Late last season, he finally got the chance to prove it, putting his personal signature on games against the Patriots and Chiefs. A couple of games I'll never forget, he says. Last Friday night, he continued to prove it with 4 catches against Carolina. It's interesting how much room he was given by the Panthers cornerbacks. On some plays, they were lined up 7 or 8 yards deep. That's called respect, Grant says. Some of those guys are terrified of getting beaten deep. Doesn't bother me. Sooner or later, I'll get them. Like in those 2 games last season, first it was December 11th against New England, when Grant pulled in a 25-yard touchdown pass from Jay Cutler, the first receiving score of his career. Then 2 weeks later, he bettered that against Kansas City, catching 4 passes for a career-high 107 yards, including a now you see him, now you don't 65-yard touchdown catch. Knowing I could make those plays meant everything to me, Grant says. My confidence was always high, but it was never higher than it was after those games. And now he returns for his 3rd season, intent on building off those late season moments, determined to keep the foot on the gas, never slowing down, always looking straight ahead, having to prove himself every scoring catch, or every scorching day. Jesus, I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. I can't read apparently today. Haha. That's what Jakeem Grant's summer is about. See, the Dolphins have brought in quite a few new players on offense, but Grant would like you to know that he has plans on being an important part of this passing attack as well. He remembers the player he was as a rookie 3 summers ago, how he thought he knew it all, and in truth, he knew very little. But this year's version is much more sure of himself, much more at ease in his role and his assignments. It is so easy to lose track of someone standing 5'6". Jakeem Grant wants to make sure you don't. The biggest difference in me is the confidence, he says. Just knowing everything, every position on the field, and knowing exactly what everybody is doing, from the running backs to the receivers to the tight ends. If I know what everybody is doing, I know my role and I know exactly where I've got to be at the right time. He does have to make sure he catches the ball, though. He's been getting better overall, but he has had some drops that he needs to get his hands on. He was pretty good about that in college, so he needs to make sure he gets that, firm and settled in the NFL. The confidence level wasn't always there, and now this year the confidence is through the roof, and I'm just ready to go out there and make plays. As far-fetched as it may seem for someone this fast, the game has slowed down for Jakeem Grant. He sees what the defense is giving him. He understands where he needs to go. He waits for the right moment, the right indicator, before turning on the world-class speed. On this day on the practice field, Grant catches a quick slant over the middle. The safety and cornerback have the correct angle to make the tackle, but they don't have Grant's speed. They watched almost helplessly as he beat their angle with a burst of quickness. You always have to respect his speed, said safety Rashad Jones. Grant often thinks back to last season in those games against the Patriots and Chiefs, replaying the touchdown catches in his mind, how he stayed true to his assignments and remained patient as things unfolded. When you try to rush, you end up messing up, he says, so the biggest thing was to let the play come to you. There was a package of plays in Adam Gase's his playbook designed specifically for Grant. Get him on the outside. Line him up against man-to-man coverage. Let him run in the open field where it's tough to stay with him. You can see guys being a little careful on how to play him, Gase said. While Grant is determined to be an offensive threat, he's well aware of his value to the team in returning punts and kickoffs. 2 seasons ago against Tennessee, he took a punt 74 yards for a touchdown. He's been 1 tackle away from doing it again on both punts and kickoffs. I feel another one coming, he says. Grant is a treat to be around, always smiling, sometimes joking, often using himself and his height as a punchline. You know how I can grow? He asks. 6 extra pairs of socks. My goal when the season starts is to be 5'8". Everybody chuckles. A few minutes later, in a moment of candor, he simply says, "It's not how tall you are, it's how badly you want it." And Jakeem Grant wants it in the worst way. Regardless of where he goes from here or how fast he gets there, there should be no doubt about that. I love that kid, man. He's great, and I'm rooting for him. I hope he does it. Hope he does big things for us, and I definitely hope he, solidifies a spot on this team for a while, for years to come. So anyway, guys, with that is the end of it. I have yet to see if there's any press conferences or interviews, so I'm just going to leave it at this for now. If there are any, if they do come out, I will make sure to get them to you. So with that said, have a nice day. Phins up.